Hi, this is Declan Shalvey, former artist of Moon Knight, and you're listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, Loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 204, and you're with your High Priest of KHONSHU, Ray. G'day. And joining me on this journey is a very familiar voice, has popped in that mega 200th game show episode. It is Knol, Looney Tunes. Tate, Knol, welcome.
Hey, Ray, thanks for having me back. The biggest loser of the game show, which I wear with a badge of honor.
No, which is, it's good, as long as you had fun. That was, all that.
I did have a lot of fun, and it's good to know I'm not the biggest dork of the group.
Yeah, I forgot to ask as well, did you, because I jumped off, I don't know how long you guys hung around on the video. Did you get to see Rebecca's library?
I did, yeah.
Oh, you did? Nice.
The whole thing. It was pretty cool.
Oh, cool. I'm imagining it's quite impressive because she's quite knowledgeable, obviously, with her comics, so there would be plenty of, how shall I call it, reference books on her shelf.
Yep.
But yeah, anything catch your eye? I know she's got all the full collection of Invincible, she was telling me. She got that from her sister.
Does she?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. No, I didn't take a close look.
No, just didn't go. Oh,
I mean, it's on a screen, so you can't tell. I mean,
yeah.
I can see a lot of Marvel logo in the background there, but I don't. That's just because I know it.
Oh,
I can't read that it says Marvel or anything.
Ah, okay. No, fair enough. Well, yeah, they're pretty much all Marvel, Valiant over here. Maybe one DC. Again, nothing against DC. But anyway, listeners, a big welcome to Knol. Knol's here. He's joined me for a resumption of an idle chat, and we will be chatting about Moon Knight villains. I thought this would be a nice little broad segment to chat about. Maybe our favourite, Knol. Maybe our least favourite. Maybe
Sure.
ones. I have a feeling that we may have touched upon. I was about to say ones that deserve probably a little bit more attention. That sort of thing. Anyway, we'll see how we go. But before that, of course, a big thank you to our sponsors. So a huge thank you, of course, to our patroonies. These are the people listed in our show notes as co-producers and executive producers. So a big thank you once again to Daniel, Justin, Derek, Wayne, Jordan, Josh, James, Russell, and Anthony. Thank you so much for all your contributions. It does help the show. Very happy that this show can prop itself up. It's been a lot of fun to do, but it's great to have that support as well. Also, Fringe Knight by Daniel Dewing, who listeners of the show would have seen on our episode 200 as well. He has created an original indie comic based on Erie, Pennsylvania's very own mysterious superhero. Also, Hello Headphones, empowering gamers to play at their best, and Dreamland Comics, the superhero superstore. Now, Knol, before we get into our idle chat, the whole idea, the whole premise, I guess, of speaking about villains is that little bit of news that kind of made itself known over the past week or so. It was that photo, for listeners that don't know, there was a photo released on Twitter of, I believe it was in Budapest, right? Knol?
Yeah, I think it was like the Budapest Daily News or something had snapped a photo.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So they're shooting on location, the Moon Knight TV show, and there was a very kind of like, I don't know, a very fleeting shot of Ethan Hawke. And you kind of got to see his outfit, so to speak. I don't know whether that's his thing or not, but I don't know. He had longish hair, I guess you could say, Knol. And his suit was kind of like a brown suit from memory. Nothing very descript. No, but so this has caused a lot of speculation amongst the Loony community, of course, and the greater Moon Knight community at large. Knol, what are your thoughts on this visual of Ethan Hawke?
I honestly saw the picture and didn't think anything of it. A lot of people were immediately like, who could he be playing? It's like, that's so nondescript that it could be anything or anything. It could have been even a disguise from walking from set to set, for all I know.
That's true as well. I know as well. Sorry to cut you off there, Knol, but what's her name? Julia Louis-Dreyfus. You know how she was in Falcon Winter Soldier. Sorry, spoilers if anyone hasn't watched it. But she apparently would be bundled into set, like heavily disguised. Like they really wanted to keep her under wraps. So not to say that they're doing that to Ethan, but they could be doing something similar, like to his character. Like, yeah.
That was actually my first thought. Was like, everyone was like, "Oh, who he could be playing? Who does he look like? Does he look like the, perhaps the Sun King or something like that?" And I was like, if they're really drawing from the Sun King within the first season, I think we've got a problem.
That's very recent, isn't it? The Sun King. We're talking
it's a cool character, but it's like I hope they didn't read the first Moon Knight comic and the last Moon Knight comic and said, "Okay, we've got ourselves a series."
Yeah.
So it could be anything. I mean, maybe he's Bushman, and that's how the look for Bushman's going to be for a while or something. Who knows? And it could be. I'm assuming they're not shooting necessarily in order.
True.
Of what the thing's going to be. So we don't know, but it's fun to speculate.
Yeah, true. Actually, that gives me. I was just wondering because as you're saying that order, I know like in movies and stuff. And in TV episodes, they don't shoot scenes in order. But would that... I don't know, Knol. Do they do that to a greater extent with TV series? Do they potentially shoot later episodes first?
I mean, I think in the streaming ages, they kind of shoot them the way they do movies. They don't necessarily always shoot them quite in order.
Right.
The way they would with, like a... I think all the CW, for example, superhero shows are shot in order with kind of an old school version of doing that. But I would almost guarantee you that none of the Marvel stuff is shooting exactly in order.
Yeah, right. Because I was thinking, of course, like any loony, you put on your Mr. Knight hat, your detective hat, or your Detective Flint hat, and you kind of try to grab what you can from that visual. And the long hair, I guess, Knol, was the thing that gave away what a lot of people speculated. I haven't said that properly, but anyway, the long hair was...
Edit.
Yeah, the long hair was probably what kind of tipped people to say, probably Sun King, because... And to be fair, Knol, what he was wearing kind of looked... To me, like a bit of Sun King.
Like the casual sort of Sun King outfit or whatever. But people, every time people do this with all of these shows, they're wrong. Like every single time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. But the more I was thinking about it, it could well be like a more disheveled, version of the character. As you're saying, if it's shot out of sequence, it might be either the origin of a particular character. It could be what happens towards the end of the show, and he's become quite disheveled. So that opens the door to anything. I mean, it could still argue that it is probably Morpheus. I mean, to me...
It could be Morpheus. It could be KHONSHU.
Could be KHONSHU.
In the body of a fellow mental institution patient. It could be...
yeah.
Could be all kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly. And as you say... It could very much just be a bit of smoke and mirrors. I mean, that could be just a costume that they put him up in. Like, we know we're going to get shot and we're going to get photographed. Let's have Ethan walk between sets in this funny outfit.
Exactly.
So, What are your thoughts on? There's a lot of heat generated for Ethan Hawke as Dracula. I even saw an article as Dracula.
My eyes could not roll further back into my head with that. I saw that article today too, or I saw the headline. I was like, fuck. No. We're not... Moon Knight Core meme is not turning into a thing. There might be some little shout out in the show because it's so funny now.
Yeah.
And it's gained even sort of like semi-pop culture kind of status, but nope.
Yeah,
I mean... happening.
As much as I love the Moon Knight Core guys over there, and I love that meme and what it's done for Moon Knight, I mean, just my comic book nerd brain is just saying, Dracula has no part in Moon Knight at all. So apart from that meme, so I would not want to see Dracula in it. And the article I read was talking about, Moon Knight will be MCU's first monster hunter because of the association with Werewolf by Night, of course. Mm-hmm. So why not have Dracula in it? But still, that kind of rubs me the wrong way because Dracula's got no ties to Moon Knight at all. So
no.
Yeah, but then again, sorry.
It could be, then again, the way he's kind of dressed up. He could be Jack Russell, too. I mean, villain might be in kind of quotation. And, like, I think Rebecca said something on the group. It was like, has this actually been confirmed as villain? Has Marvel confirmed he's the villain? Or is it just what the trade said and everybody has run with it? Maybe he's a villain sort of in quotation marks where it's Jack Russell. And he turns out not to be, we all know, Jack Russell is the hero of the story at first, so...
To add some fuel to the fire there, Knol, he was dressed in brown, kind of like a werewolf, long hair, kind of animal-like. It's not a far stretch to say. Actually, I wouldn't mind to see him as Jack Russell. And you're right, nothing has been confirmed yet, even by Marvel. They haven't even technically confirmed Oscar Isaac.
Exactly.
Which is ridiculous. I think they've confirmed Ethan, right? Have they?
I think they have, yeah.
They have?
But I'm still not... No, I mean, he's talked about it, so... And he's everybody else has confirmed Oscar Isaac, but...
Actually, I don't know if Ethan Hawke was confirmed by Marvel, the MCU.
I don't know if he was either.
Yeah. See, all this, like, it's crazy. So, yeah, right. That could be great, actually, to have him as Werewolf by Night. Which would mean that we might potentially have more of him, like more of Ethan Hawke in the other series, rather than just like a one-and-done villain. Well, having said that, though, looking at WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, the villains there, haven't been done away with, like in the MCU films. You know how the MCU films kind of kill off all the villains, and it's like... Oh, well, that's that then.
Something they're regretting now that they're trying to put the Thunderbolts together, it seems.
Yeah. Oh, how cool is this Thunderbolts thing? Are you getting behind that? Or?
I'm on board,
yeah. Yeah, me too. It'd be very interesting to see who they have on board there as well. But, I like the way that they're slowly forming it and using the Contessa, Val. That's such Val. A long name. Yeah. Yep. Just call her Val. Let's call it Elaine. That'll be cool. I mean, I'd love to see US Agent, but as flawed as a character as he is, I
think they did a great job with him.
Yeah, but prime candidate for Thunderbolts and someone who really wants to redeem himself, albeit kind of he's going about stuff in a little bit of a wrong way. He's a bit brash, all that sort of stuff. So yeah. So anyway, I mean...
I saw something, speaking of I was actually reading the Moon Knight TV show Wikipedia page today. I saw a quote from Kevin Feige saying that, speaking of them killing off all the villains, I mean, they may still kill off a villain in the show, because they said, though, that's like, what the quote basically was that this series and like She-Hulk are going to be structured to accommodate future seasons and not necessarily to accommodate movie stuff.
Oh, okay.
So, like, they're pretty much, he's basically greenlighting. We don't know if there's going to be season 2 of Falcon and Winter Soldier. We know there's probably going to be a movie, like a new Captain America movie spawning out of it. WandaVision is spawning into other movie stuff, but they said, like, She-Hulk and Moon Knight were, like, setting up, like, these are going to be ongoing TV series. And I was like, I hadn't heard that before. I just read that. The quote in the Wikipedia page for the show today. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So they could be killing off villains.
Oh, they could. Yeah. Well, that's kind of really nice to hear as well, because it was kind of tenuous, wasn't it, as to whether, like, Feige was a bit ambiguous, saying, things may be written for introductions into the film, or like he didn't know.
Well, I think he had mentioned that these characters will be in the films.
Yes, he said it's
but their shows aren't set up for the films, unlike these other shows are going to be, or the current shows, I guess. Yeah,
WandaVision definitely. I mean, that's been confirmed pretty much that's the only season. Like, indirectly, it's been confirmed that that's the only season now, and that has been just setting up Multiverse of Madness, Wanda's appearance in there. So yeah, that's great then. So look, any more Moon Knight, any more She-Hulk? would be really cool
Those
as
are
well.
two of my favorite characters right there. I was so excited when they had announced both of those. I like threw shit in the air. I was so excited. These are two of my favorites ever, so this will be great.
Yeah. Well, She-Hulk was really got me interested as well with the announcement that Emil Blonsky, the Abomination, so i.e. Tim Roth, will make a return. Yep. I'd love to see, what's his name, Blake Nelson, as the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had a very small part in that.
Yeah, they had a little tease. Yep.
Yeah, but never really generated into anything. But I'd love to see him in She-Hulk. Maybe, I don't know, who knows? Like, anything's open, like, for She-Hulk, because she comes across a lot of, I guess, characters, which I love that idea. But yeah, so Moon Knight, that's great. Having said that, though, Knol, they might be killing a lot. But if they do have recurring seasons, they might hang on to then a lot of villains, right? If they,
it could be. I mean, it could just be a villain of the season. I would personally like to see a villain of the week, and like do it a little bit more. And Laura and I have been watching a lot of X-Files.
Yes.
And, you know, it's just the monster of the week set up for most of it, but then they later on would tie in the ongoing kind of story with Scully's abduction and all the alien stuff and the FBI stuff.
The greater kind of arc. Yeah, I love those. There's kind of like one-shots, aren't they? Those Monster of the Week episodes. They're so cool because you can actually, I find it's a lot more enjoyable. You can go back and you can just, you're not bound to actually have to, you know, jump into part 7 of 10, you know what I mean? You can just watch one about, I love that one. Did you guys watch the one where those green bugs? It was in season 1, one of my favorite episodes.
Oh yeah, I've seen them all, but I don't remember hardly any of them.
Yeah, there's so many good ones.
We just saw the one with Jack Black and.
Oh yes. It's
where he's got I can't remember the other actor's name now.
I think I know the guy you're talking about.
With the Italian name.
Italian guy, yeah. He was in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, but he's got the the shocker powers, lightning powers.
That's right.
And he's like able to shut down electricity and do all that stuff. Yeah, but it was just like, oh, this is a fun Monster of the Week one. And it would be cool for Moon Knight just because, you know, the Ellis, Declan Shalvey is one of my favorite series. And that the whole thing was just a Monster of the Week kind of thing. So it'd be cool to have some of that. And Marvel hasn't done that yet, even with the non-Marvel Studios shows, you know, like all the Netflix stuff had pretty much one villain and it went through the whole series. So it'd be cool if Marvel, especially if they're gonna do multiple seasons of Moon Knight, fingers crossed, they could just do, he's got enough, you know, or maybe a couple episode arcs of like, here's one with this villain and here's another one with this villain, and then
but it's not that, I mean, it's not that inconceivable, because if we're talking about 6 episodes in a season, you know, you're not gonna have to come up with a couple of dozen villains. You know, it's only you're talking about only 6 villains. So, as you say, even if one of them had like a couple of episodes to their arc, then 6 or less for one season. So, I think there's enough villains there, and listeners. It's a good segue, Knol, for me to kind of jump into. So just Moon Knight villains, talking about this, and not necessarily, Knol, I guess, for the TV show, although it can be, but just looking at Moon Knight's rogues gallery as a whole. Let's talk about like kind of our favourites, probably our least favourites, probably be just as fun as well. Because there are quite a lot of them, but you just don't know because. Like the casual reader wouldn't know because, you know, some of them don't kind of return. But a lot of them are memorable. Like, I mean, even later in this week, Knol, we're going to do issue 18. And I think I mentioned to you online, the villains there were quite colourful. I kind of enjoyed them.
Me too.
Yeah, but whether or not they have staying power is another thing. So, I know, out of all of the villains, Knol, who would you reckon would be your favourite?
My favourite. I don't know. I've never really had a favorite Moon Knight villain, I guess. I don't really I mean, it would probably be Stained Glass Scarlet, because some of her stories have been some of my favorite. There's a lot of pathos in that character. And it's cool to see, you know, it's kind of like, Moon Knight's Black Cat or something, where it's like they're kind of, eventually sort of on the same page. It's just doing it the wrong way, and that's kind of what I liked about that.
Yeah,
I don't know, there's a lot of them I really liked. I mean, like,
it's kind of like asking you what's your favorite comic, right? It depends on your mood of the time, and yeah. But I mean, I'm with you with saying Glass Scarlet as well. She'd probably have to be up there for me. I love this idea with her about how, and I wish they would explore it a bit more. There's some sort of like ESP connection between her and Moon Knight. It's very ambiguous. You don't know why, what, or how.
No,
they're, I don't know, soulmates or something.
The J.M. DeMatteis kind of explored that. That was really cool.
Yeah.
But Morpheus is also a favorite of mine for obvious reasons. Like, it's just a perfect kind of monster villain for him.
Great power set. I love his power set as well.
Me too. Eben Energy is cool.
Eben Energy. Well, no, the whole idea about what is the more he stays awake, right? The more it builds up, and that's because, like, you get people who are insomniacs or kind of like that, and you kind of can understand that feeling, but then to have that and like have it like this Eben Energy building within you, I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool.
I think so too.
But the thing is that sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just to say, but the thing is also that I'm imagining Morpheus. He really wants to sleep. You know, that would be like, to have slumber would be the good thing. So he's kind of cursed in a way, and I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, and it is just a cool idea as far as like the more we don't sleep, the more bad chemicals actually build up in us. That when we do sleep, our body gets rid of. Yeah, exactly. And so it's biologically speaking, like in real biology, it's kind of a cool play on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many. Like, I have the list that you put together for the thing, and I'm just looking at them. And there's a lot of ones I do not like at all. But
Nimrod Strange, or
Nimrod Strange is not. Seth is probably my least favorite out of any.
Seth was awful. He was terrible. There's not much
drawing.
Yeah. I mean, having even said that as well, it was such a weird run. I've got to read that latter run again. You covered it with Lilith, just a few of them, right? 55 to 57.
That's right.
But I have to reread them again. Yeah, it was a bit. I don't know. Yeah, he's a bit. I don't know, a bit over the place, all over the place. So yeah, I'd probably rank him towards the end for myself as well. I mean, there are a lot of Doug Mensch characters that, as I mentioned before, didn't elevate towards becoming, long-lasting villains. So there are a lot of kind of really throwaway villains there. Like, one that comes to mind, a couple actually, Knol.
Blacksmith?
Blacksmith is one. You got like an origin in one page or a couple of things, but he didn't last long. But the problem with those villains is that they don't... He had those like super heated forceps and stuff, but I guess the visual was lacking. Like, he just kind of looked like Absorbing Man.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, and... I think as a comic book fan and a reader, you'd want something to kind of tease the eye. And a lot of Mensch's villains, unfortunately, but that was probably his conscious decision to make it kind of really not flamboyant,
Just villain of the week.
Yeah.
And some of them were like actually surprisingly flamboyant considering how street level Moon Knight was supposed to be, but it was 80s comics, so like, what are you going to do? I mean, the same thing happened with a lot of Spider-Man villains. They just threw...
Yeah.
For years, they just came up with a new one almost every week, and they just threw and see what stuck. And it
that's
just
true.
To the writer's credit, a lot of them did stick
to
the series, or at least were able to come back. But if you go through like the list of all of Spider-Man's villains, you're like, who the hell's that? Who the hell's that?
So, I mean, if you look, I guess, ratio-wise, I guess Moon Knight's done pretty well. Like, if you look at the history of Spider-Man, and as you say, how many villains were thrown at him, and like, he's got a big rogues gallery, and they're really good as well, very strong. But if you compare that with how much has probably fallen by the wayside, then if you look at Moon Knight, I mean, he's got, I'd say you can count on one hand comfortably some pretty big ticket villains for Moon Knight, at least, not for the greater Marvel universe.
Specifically to sort of Moon Knight, yeah, because he's fought some of the big Marvel villains before, but like,
oh yeah,
we don't think of him as that, you know. Like, I mean, Taskmaster is
that was
Captain America villain.
Yeah, I think he's a Captain America. Yeah, he's a Captain America villain. I think he was introduced in Captain America as well.
Yeah, was it, or was it Avengers? I think it was Captain America.
Actually, you're right with Hawkeye. Yeah.
But regardless, you know, like, but he's been known as one of Moon Knight's big, because it's some of people's favorite fight is the whole Taskmaster, and he's more than one time gone up against him.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there was also in the Benson run, I think they had Moon Knight up against Bullseye, and I saw an article as well, and they listed Bullseye as one of his like most dangerous villains. I was thinking, yeah, fair enough, but he's not really Moon Knight's villain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. So
no,
and I've read
Venom. yeah. Oh no, exactly. That's the only time. And Moon Knight, he faked his death actually to get away from Bullseye. That's what I remember. Like, he did that explosion and he slid down the tunnel.
Okay, yeah, I remember that now.
But that was the only time he's kind of fought Bullseye, I think. Then you have Venom, of course, but of course you can't. I mean, that's Spidey's. So yeah.
You can say Doctor Doom too, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well, he did well against him, didn't he? I'm very, very happy with that. But yeah, I don't know. The other, so there's a lot of Mensch stuff. I'm trying to actually go through in my mind the other runs, like the Bendis run, of course, Count Nefaria, and Snapdragon. Night Shift were in there as well, but they didn't last too long. So that was kind of like an old Mark Grunwald team that Bendis kind of resurrected in that run, which was pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah. Bendis is good for reaching back into the canon and then just taking what he wants out of it and forgetting of any of the actual canon.
Yeah, that's right. And Vengeance of the Moon Knight, it was mainly Bushmen, I think. Right? And there was Deadpool in there, you know.
Yeah. It's just funny how Bushman, I mean, most people consider him, besides Werewolf by Night, I guess, to be like his biggest villain, since he was introduced in his first issue of his first solo series. But it seems like writers have been trying to push Bushman harder than he naturally would be a good villain. You know, like he hasn't, none of the Bushman stories have really stuck with me personally very hard. Even the one, you know, where people love the big fight in the bottom with him, and just like, that's one of my least favorite parts of that whole era of Moon Knight. It's like, there's some funny things kind of came out of it, I guess, later, but it's you know, and even like Bemis tried to kind of have Bushman. He's like, well, I guess we got to throw Bushman in here. It's just like, why? You don't really.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, he's the guy who killed him, I guess, but there's something that just didn't, for me personally, didn't really stick with that villain.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's still just some, I don't want to say leftovers, but from his origin. And I guess they're just wanting to pay respect to since he was there at the beginning, he has to be, you know, the true villain and stuff. I always found Bushman worked the best when he was just a vision that KHONSHU used. You know, with Bushman and his gory, faceless face and stuff.
Yeah, just to fuck with Mark,
Yeah, but that technically that wasn't even Bushman at all. That's just KHONSHU. So I think that he's been used the best in that capacity. Actually, and Vengeance of the Moon Knight as well, because he kind of, I can't even remember now what he gets resurrected or something, and he's so he's alive again, but then he gets killed again.
Right, and he's back in Resurrection War, isn't he?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, but see, he's like minor. He's more of a minor character in that story.
Yeah.
Which I think Doug Mensch was just like, have him back for it, but whatever. He's not the real villain of this whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if we will get Bushman in the TV show. Maybe later on, but yeah, it just. I
have a weird feeling that Ethan Hawke might be Bushman. That they might not want to go for that. Okay. A lot of people have been saying it would be kind of insensitive. You know, to have to like straight up cast like kind of an African in that and to be playing sort of a bad guy in that role, but
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I hope they kind of make it sort of like, okay, this guy. I hope they have Bushman in it in some capacity, just with Mark's origin story. But it'd be cool if we don't get his origin story right away.
Yeah. You're right. I think Bushman can be reinterpreted, and he doesn't have to be physically imposing. Because that was one of the big things about him in the comics. Because he's like this huge hulking guy. But I guess you can have someone like with Ethan Hawke, his caliber of acting. You can have him as a really scary dude, right?
Yeah, a very intimidating dude.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, potentially. Who else have we got here? Hang on, let me see.
Got a list.
I put my favourite. I put Xenos in there. He's the only obscure one that I always keep on going back to, only because his name I always remember.
You also put Conquer Lord in there too.
Oh, Conquer Lord, yeah.
Which I guess really wouldn't that be Moon Knight's first villain?
Yeah, because he was in.
He was in. Hawke.
Yes. No, it wouldn't. No, he was in Spotlight, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, I guess Spotlight would be the first one.
Yeah, I tried to get that bloody issue. I should have gotten it when I went. The one and only con I've been to for the last couple of decades. I think it was going for $60 though. It's probably like friggin' a few $100s now. So
yeah,
but
it's hard to pick it. I guess you've got kind of all the main ones. Like there's sort of like the classic, the Doug Mensch era ones, and then sort of all the.
I haven't put in there, but what do you think of Uncle Ernst? I mean, a relatively new one, but very kind of tied to Mark's Judaism, like I guess that side of him, because we all know that Moon Knight has so many different facets to him as well. You can do the Merc side with Bushman, you can do the supernatural side with Werewolf by Night and stuff, but we have this back history of his family. I wonder if that's something that they might think be worth telling for the character.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It would be a little difficult to pull off, sort of in the more realistic sort of MCU thing. It's like, how did this Nazi survive for so long?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the guy would be 100 and who knows what now. So that might be a little bit, but they could maybe pull off sort of the idea of it. I mean, there's other ways of kind of like, I mean, the issue we're going to be discussing later this week doesn't directly talk about his Judaism, but he's going to Israel. The whole thing pretty much takes place in Israel with Jewish friends of his. So
yeah, which is actually quite one of the points I think we were talking about before. In retrospect, thinking about that issue, I actually really like it because Mensch decides to explore that part, you know, indirectly, but it's still, anyway, that's what I thought, this is probably better than I thought when I read it. So
it was better than I remembered, but we'll get to that later.
Hey, hang on, Knol. Here's another pitch. Ethan Hawke, I just had a look. How about him as the profile? That would be cool.
Some people on the Into the Night Facebook group had at least one person said that.
What's that? Okay.
And I was like, that would be pretty cool. I mean, the profile is a pretty cool villain. I don't know how. I mean, the profile's a mutant, right? I don't know exactly.
Yeah, that might not have to explain that. Maybe just, you know.
I mean, he could just be like, well, he has superpowers, and then later down the road, they're like, remember before we had mutants? Well, now we have mutants, so he's a mutant.
Yeah. He could be like Lance Henrik. It could be like Lance Henriksen in The Profiler. He was just a really good profiler.
He's just a really smart dude.
Yeah.
Which is not as cool as a mutant, but
no, true.
It could be. I mean, he could be any of these things, really. He could be Nimrod Strange from.
Oh gosh, that would be funny. I mean, Black Spectre was another one that I think people thought he might be.
Black Spectre is one of my favorites as well.
The politician side of things, the political side of things.
Yeah. Some of these villains though, maybe it's because my head is just too tied to the comics. It's like a really good. Well, they could, I guess, do sort of a Kingpin on the first season of Daredevil kind of take on Black Spectre. I mean, just as far as, you know, like, I mean, it is like the Kingpin in the comics at first wasn't like involved with corrupt politics. That kind of came later in the 70s and early 80s with when like Frank Miller started writing him and stuff. He was just, you know, basically a mafia thug, but then like in real life, the mafia got their hands in just about everything, including politicians. So I can see them kind of doing, but you know, the first season of Daredevil, they went right for that kind of version of the Kingpin. They could kind of do that for Black Spectre too. Like, was he the mayor of New York? Or, you know, but they could have him be a politician of some kind, and that could be tied. But it sounds like that's not really, it sounds like it's going to be a little bit more globe hopping this first season than like a New York based thing, since they're filming in a lot in Europe and Atlanta and Los Angeles, it sounds like too. Yeah. So
and the Indiana Jones tag that Kevin
Feige said. Yep.
Yeah. So no, that's true. I mean, I like it as well. I mean, they've done it with Falcon and Winter Soldier as well. They've really given it a global aspect, which I kind of enjoy. So yeah, I mean, it definitely suits Moon Knight a lot. And if you look at it again, Volume 1 of Moon Knight, a lot of it was him globetrotting. I mean, I think the last one, I think that we did, or there was a couple of issues ago, he was in Switzerland, right?
That's right.
Against the sniper and stuff. So, and as you say, later on we'll be looking at this issue where he goes to Jerusalem. So, really, really cool. I like that kind of globetrotting aspect of Moon Knight. I hope, it looks like they're going to do that anyway for the TV show.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Yeah.
Who are some of your least favorite?
Least favorite? Yeah, I would say the first thing that kind of springs into my mind would be like Arsenal. I don't know if you remember him. Just a really terrible. I think he's in he's in the 20s, the issues 20s or so. It's just a really poor man's version of, I guess, War Machine. It's just a guy in a suit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he also an Iron Man villain?
He could have been. I'm not sure if they're the same. I don't know if they were the same. They could have been.
I thought maybe he was in Armor Wars, but I could be remembering that wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just know. I don't know. I just don't like. Didn't think he was any good. And I must say, yeah, Blacksmith is not really one of my favourites. It's kind of like, I mean, there are a lot of those villains that kind of, they don't register kind of a blip for me. They're kind of just middle of the road kind of thing. I mean, he served his purpose in that issue, but you can't see anything developing from him. So I'd have to say that. How about yourself? Who would you say is your least favourite?
I mean, it's Seth,
Seth.
I think, really.
Yeah, Seth.
But some of the other, there's a couple other one-offs in the earlier runs that aren't even coming to mind. You know what I mean? They're like on my periphery, like, oh, who was that villain? That was dumb.
Yeah.
Who did he fight with his team up with Daredevil?
Oh, the Jester?
Oh, the Jester. There you go. I mean, I know he's a Daredevil villain, I think, first, but that was not a great
yeah.
villain. Even though that issue is kind of fun, but it's just
is funny. Yeah. It's so weird that Jester's because I read that recently, and the Daredevil, the introduction of the Jester through Daredevil, and such a weird origin. He's like an actor, but he's a bit disgruntled because he doesn't get a job. So what does he do? He trains himself until he's almost peak martial artist kind of, and agile as Daredevil, and and he just kind of wreaks havoc. It's a bit of a strange one, just with a lot of gadgets and stuff. One that I don't have here on the list, Knol, but I think is pretty cool, should make mention because I know at least there's another Loony that does love it. The Secret Empire. I mean, I know they're not exactly Moon Knights, but they did feature heavily in that whole arc with the Sidekicks round robin, taking Jeff Wild. They were in Mark Spector Moon Knight as well. I mean, they're pretty cool faction. I mean, I'm thinking like groups, like because you've of course got the committee, which were kind of retconned a couple of times. Like they came back in addition, right? Yeah. But the Secret Empire, I think, is a pretty cool, I don't know, organization. They don't seem to be as big, of course, as AIM or Hydra, but they're
it's a fun group.
Yeah. They're all ranked by number or whatever.
Which is cool. What are your thoughts on his brother as a villain?
Oh yeah, of course, Randall. Actually, I like him. I really do like the idea of him a lot. I don't think he's been used that well. I just see a lot of like potential. I love the one in the Hawke magazine as Hatchet Man.
Yeah, me too.
But that gets a retcon, so that's apparently not him really.
In my headcanon, it's him.
In me too. Yeah. But I think not long ago we talked about the Shadowland run where that retcon's at and saying that it wasn't him at all. It was and then actually I love the Blood Brothers arc in Mark Spector Moon Knight with Randall and of course the Punisher. That was cool as well, and it kind of gave a hint that he wasn't dead at the end, which was good. So I'd love to see him back. I was thinking about that, whether Ethan Hawke would be Randall.
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know about you, but I just think they look like
it would be kind of ballsy to have his brother be the villain of the first season of the whole show.
Yeah. I know, but I don't know. I'm thinking kind of old school.
I wouldn't really like it either, but it would be ballsy.
Yeah, exactly. But only the fact that resemblance, you know how like it's like they do not look like brothers at all. If they were kind of similar looking, like let's do it. I'd give it a go. But I just can't see them being brothers. The poor casting, if that was the fact. Yeah. But I'd love to see Randall in there in some capacity. I don't know whether I'd like to see him go into his Shadow Knight mode. I'd love to just see him as like the Hatchet Man. Just some
Me
sort
too.
of
just
psychotic.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. Because it cuts a tragic kind of figure for the family. I mean, Mark is battling mental issues, and if you have a totally psychopathic brother, I mean, that's a. You're not wanting to sound, thing, but it kind of runs in the family, that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Those mental issues, and as you say, like to have your own brother. I mean, that's pretty hardcore. So, So I don't know. The only other big one, which I put it towards the bottom of the list there, Knol, which I say big only because he kind of started like in the early Moon Knight series, Mark Spector Moon Knight, I think at least. Midnight Man. I mean, he very nondescript. For me, he's got a cool name.
Wait, Midnight or Midnight Man? I guess Midnight Man would be. Was that in Mark Spector?
I think it was the issues 3 and 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I could. I could get that wrong. It could be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. No. I don't know. Listeners, please pull me up. My brain is not working. But I think he'd be pretty cool anyway. I think it's Volume 1. Sorry, Knol. Yeah, I think you're right. Volume 1.
Toward the end of Volume 1, I think.
Was it? Okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
I just remember, wasn't there a fight in the sewer with him or something?
Yeah. And I think that is... Oh, you're right. I think that is Volume 1. Mm-hmm. You're right. But I also remember a cover of Moon Knight and Midnight Man jumping off a building, and for the life of me, I think that's Mark Spector Moon Knight. But anyway, so maybe that shows that he does recur, he does come back. I mean, he's not really. I reckon his son superseded him anyway. I mean, in the big '90s crossover, Jeff Wild, and then used by Houston. But I think to see one of them would be pretty good as well. And I think he's a decent enough. I don't know about his origin because he's like a what is he, a cat burglar or something?
Something like that, yeah.
It's a bit silly. But I like the premise of Jeff Wild wanting to be a sidekick and then getting disgruntled. Like that's, I think there's a lot of potential there. So
yeah, the idea of having your Robin turn on you, which they kind of ended up doing in Batman anyway. So
did they? Was it
I mean, I don't follow it too closely, but one of his Robins came back as a Punisher type.
Oh, is that the Red Hood? Ooh,
yeah, that's the one.
Oh,
that's
okay.
the one.
Right.
I couldn't remember his name. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, Moon Knight did it first. Anyway.
Exactly.
Any other final thoughts, I guess, Knol, for villains of Moon Knight? Any other final thoughts for this thing about Ethan Hawke walking around in a robe?
No, it just reminds me I should probably buy a robe.
Hey,
I don't have one.
He's the easiest cosplay now, look, just get yourself a potato sack. No, it's not that bad, listeners. It was, it's quite a nice robe. It was brown. That's all I can say.
But I'm just excited to see what he does in the show. I was just rewatching the last Star Wars movie, which I'll save my opinions about for some other time. But one of the bright parts really was Oscar Isaac and that whole trilogy there. And I was like, damn, I'm excited to see. There was like a scene of them out on like a desert planet or something like that. And I was like, God damn it. This is going to be good. He's going to make a good Moon Knight.
Well, yeah, one of the concerns, but I guess you probably assuaged me there, Knol. Just final thoughts is, potentially you don't want your villain to overshadow your hero, right? Ethan Hawke's pretty big. I think he's great. And I love it. The fact that he is on board with this, like he must have read something that really piqued his interest. So that's good. And of course, but he also said working with Oscar Isaac. So we know Oscar's got very big presence on the screen.
He really does. Even though he's a little man.
Yeah. So
5'9", I think.
Yeah. But that's good though. It's good that he's got that presence because you'll know that he'll probably shine. Well, hopefully they both shine. But,
I think they will.
Yeah, but you know that kind of thing, Knol, where the villains kind of start becoming the center of attention in the film, and the superhero takes a backseat. I think that'd be pretty bad if that happened. But I think Oscar's got enough charisma. Historically, I think they've done a really good balance between when they've got a good villain, they don't push it too hard still. True. Black Panther was still his movie. I mean, it was really Wakanda's movie, I guess, but even though they had a really great villain, they didn't. He gets all the screen time because he's doing so. This is so great. It's like they have a good balance. Same with Loki, I guess, as well. He was a great villain, I think, in the first Avengers film. But yeah, that's true. Oh, that's good. Well, he's going to be a great hero of his own story too, because that show is looking like it's going to be awesome. So, and released a bit earlier, as they say. So released on Wednesdays now, which is pretty cool. Yeah, something to do midweek for me. Yeah, absolutely. Well, how about we just we leave our thoughts there, listeners? If you have thoughts about the villains, your favorite, your least favorite villains, drop us a line as well. Yeah, I would love to know what people think. Yeah, what do you think has happened to Ethan Hawke in that photo? Is he disguised? Is he actually Dracula? Is he actually Werewolf by Night's a big one for me now, Knol, I think. Just because brown. You know how Marvel kind of color coordinate everything? No, seriously. That is true. Isn't he usually wearing green pants, though? Green pants, yeah, true. Yeah. Green and brown, it's very synonymous with him. But yeah, I noticed with Marvel, it's not so subtle now, their color coordinations with stuff. Like even the stuff that, say when they're in disguise, like, Wanda or Sam Wilson, they always disguise themselves in urban wear, but in their own colours. It's pretty funny. Anyway, let us know your thoughts, listeners. Like Blur said, we wear the same clothes because we feel the same. Yes. Thank you, Damon. What's his name? Oh, Damon Albarn. Albarn, yeah. I forgot his. Yeah, good. Clint Eastwood, Gorillaz, love it. I love Blur, actually. I like Blur a lot more than Gorillaz. Anyway. Anyway, Knol, a huge thanks for this chat. It will be cool. See you a bit later in the week for our review. Yes, I will continue that lie with you. Excellent. And Loony, so we'll cap it off here, but next episode, which will drop a little later in the week, Knol will return and we'll be looking at a Lunatic Classic Run review. So this is off the back of a waning crescent, which will be up in the night sky at that time. And Knol and I will be looking at Moon Knight Volume 1, Issue 18, The Slayer's Elite. So, that should be a lot of fun. Sorry, my browser just opened automatically there, don't know why. So, Knol, I'll catch you... Oh, and before I say that, I just want to say I'm going to have to re-record this pre-recorded disclaimer at the end, because I think I sound like death. But anyway...
I think you sound great.
Knol, great to have you, and looking forward to our chat later on.
Great.
Cool. Catch you later. Loonies, you can contact us through various social platforms. You can drop us a line on email at itkmoonnight@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/itkmoonnight, and a Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/itkmoonnight. We are on Twitter. Our handle is at itkmoonnight, and we're on Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube. Just search for Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. We're also on Discord. Just search for the server Into the Night with a K. Please leave an iTunes rating or review if you can. It helps us reach other loonies out there too. Also, if you have any feedback, we also look to improve ourselves and the show. Finally, we're on all good podcast catchers: Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also on Podcoin. Please check us out and share episodes with your friends.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.